This is going to be one of those breakup videos where I really don't want to break up, but I know that for the both of us, this is probably the best thing to do. I'm breaking up with the ASICS NovaBlast number 2. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Brendon and I'm a Halifax, Nova Scotia-based runner, and I've lost over 150 pounds through the power of running and habit change. On this channel, we explore the strategies and tools that we can improve our running and our life so that we can run faster and be happier, whatever that means for you. Now let's talk about the ASICS NovaBlast number 2. Now here's the thing, the ASICS NovaBlast number 2 is undeniably a wonderful shoe. Every time that I've run in the shoe, I've had such a fantastic time. The midsole feeling underfoot is fantastic. That flight foam blast is both squishy and soft, but also responsive and bouncy and poppy and all the buzzwords that you can use to explain a midsole in a running shoe. But here's the thing. I've been noticing through my entire time in running in this shoe that my calves have been pretty tight after I've run in it, and as I'm running in it, my legs are a little bit sore, more sore than normal, and I've always chalked it up to me just being a little bit fatigued, or you know, those normal running pains that you get when you're out there running. That's what I thought it kind of was. However, I've also been switching in different shoes in my rotations as of late, and it's always the ASICS NovaBlast that I'm feeling these different pains. And after reviewing a bunch of footage, I can see that my foot really rolls inward, but not in the normal ankle section that I normally get over pronation. No, this is something different and we'll explore it in just one second. I just want to preface this entire video because it is going to sound a little bit negative on this shoe, that this is only my experience, and I've ran 40 or so miles in this shoe, and everyone has a different gait cycle. And this shoe might work perfectly for your gait cycle, but for me, unfortunately, it's time to break up, and here's my detailed thoughts. I'm not going to go over the specs of this thing in this video. I did that in the initial impressions. You can find a link to that in the description below, and I've also written a full review article, linked to that in the description below as well. Yeah, I'm becoming a writer. Who would have thought? Let's start off by talking about the midsole here. Now, the Flight Foam Blast midsole foam that they use is so much fun. Like I said, it's soft, but also bouncy and responsive, and it's actually a completely unique feeling underfoot for a daily trainer. You can see all the daily trainers I have on this wall here. None of them feel anything like the ASICS NovaBlast. The ASICS NovaBlast is such a wonderful sensation underfoot. You can use it for various types of different runs as well, which is another great thing about this shoe. I've used it for my easy runs because it's soft enough for that type of runs. I've used it for my daily training runs because why not? It's a perfect daily trainer. And I've also used it for fartlek runs. And I know that sounds like you just ate a bunch of beans and you're having a bunch of gas when you're out there running, but it's a type of run where you go faster in some sections and slower in other sections. It's Swedish for speed. And the reason that you can use it for those faster things is because even though this shoe is relatively heavy, it's not clunky on foot. And in my humble opinion, don't come at me in the comment sections, it's not really the weight of the shoe that matters, but how they distribute the weight of the shoe that really matters. If a shoe is heavy but it feels streamlined like this ASICS NovaBlast, then I'll use it for my speed days. But the downside about this shoe for me in the midsole is I'm not sure if it's necessarily the softness of the midsole, but the way that the midsole sculpted, it really makes me lean inward on toe off. And I'm gonna overlay a bunch of footage here because this is where I really noticed it. And I wouldn't have even noticed it if it wasn't so apparent on video. But as you can see from this video, as I'm landing, you can really tell that my foot is landing and then rolling inward towards my big toe. And what I think that's doing is making my legs overcompensate and making my stabilizing muscles work extra hard. And eventually that just leads to them being fatigued earlier and me just having not a fun time when I'm out there on my run. Now, I would have thought that I would have overpronated at the ankle because the ASICS NovaBlast, like I said, is soft, but my overpronation actually, I don't think it's stemming from the ankle, because if you look at this video right here, you can see that I'm squishing the material down and my ankles stay relatively stable. So I think it's just strictly the way that they sculpted this midsole. Like, there's something that's making my foot roll inward towards the big toe there, and that is why I have to retire this shoe for me, because I don't think that it's great for my gait cycle. It's just the harsh reality. And it's such a shame too, because after my first couple of runs, I was set. I was totally set that this was going to be the perfect daily trainer, the best daily trainer of 2021, and it still probably will make the list, to be quite honest, but it's just not going to be for me. And I can appreciate that this is a great shoe for a lot of different people, because for me, there are runs where I'm feeling strong and I can have a different gait cycle, manipulate my own gait cycle, and when I can do that, this shoe feels absolutely fantastic. But if I'm just going out there and not really thinking about it, I'm lost in like an audiobook, being intellectual or something like that, I don't think about my gait cycle, and that is when I tend to have pain in this shoe. The midsole, guys, so fantastic, but it's so sad to me that we're done. We're done. I know, it's sad, but It's the harsh reality. And moving on to the upper, in the initial impressions, I said that the changes that they made to the upper is what makes the ASICS NovaBlast runnable for me, because they added in some extra heel stabilization, they added in a gusseted tongue to make the lockdown even better, and the downside in the initial impressions even was the toe box room. And I didn't think that that would be such a big deal. However, through my runs, the extra room in the toe box and the way that my foot is rolling into the inward of the big toe is really making the material towards the big toe kind of rub on my big toe and not really add any hot spots, but just be a little bit more annoying. But overall, the lockdown through the heel and the midfoot has been really good through the entire time. It makes a good connection so that you can utilize all the midsole here. And that's something that I'm realizing more and more. If the lockdown in the upper and the connection to the midsole is not right, you're not gonna really get that full potential of the midsole. But the ASICS NovaBlast, the lockdown, I do think is actually pretty darn good and allows you to make that connection to the midsole. The upper itself is very comfortable aside for that little rubbing and annoyance in the big toe here. And I don't think that that could be solved if you went a size down, because I do feel that the ASICS NovaBlast is true to size. And in terms of if you could wear this if you had a wider foot, I don't like commenting on that because I don't have a wide foot. And I don't want to lead you astray. I want you to be able to go out there with confidence that you can buy a shoe and it's going to fit your foot. And for me, I can't make that decision for wide foot people. In terms of breathability of this thing, I have worn it through the entire summer, and it was extremely hot and humid in Halifax, Nova Scotia this year. Like, I felt that I was living in Florida essentially. So I wore this the entire time and I didn't have any issues in terms of my foot getting super hot, but at the same time, it wasn't extremely breathable. But I don't think that we can expect these normal daily trainers to have extreme breathability. It's not gonna be anything like the Atom Knit upper on the Alpha Fly here, but it's gonna do the job in terms of a daily trainer. It's not extremely hot, and that's all I'm gonna say about the breathability. The upper on this thing overall isn't bad. There are a couple of tweaks that they could do to make it really good, but overall, it's a great improvement still over the version 1. The outsole, it's ASICS high abrasion rubber, and the only downside that I can say about this outsole is it is peeling a little bit, but I think that's strictly cosmetic. There are some people online that were saying that it's a big deal and all that stuff, but honestly, once that initial peeling came, I haven't really noticed too much more. And like I said, I have 40 miles in this shoe, so I don't expect durability to be an issue, of course. And if it is, then we got some troubles. But in terms of outsole durability, there's been no issues. And in terms of traction, I've used this shoe in like Tree Pass, which is Crusher Dust Pass here in Nova Scotia. And I've used it on rainy days and all that stuff, and traction has not been an issue at all. And one good thing about this outsole that I do feel really improves the ride of the shoe is this decouple groove here. The decouple groove, I honestly do feel that it adds that little bit more of a, I hate saying this. I honestly hate saying this, but I think it does add to that little bit more of a trampoline type feel in the ASICS NovaBlast. God, just, I'm sorry I had to say that, but I don't know what else to say. And in terms of durability, like I said, after 40 miles, I don't expect there to be any durability issues. And of course, there is not any durability issues in the ASICS NovaBlast after 40 miles. And I would say that I'll continue to monitor it through the miles, but I'm not quite sure if I'm going to continue using this shoe. Maybe if I get a little bit stronger, I'll give it another try. But at this point in time, I don't think that I'm going to be using this for too many more miles, unfortunately. I don't have it down here, but I'm going to start using the Hoka Mach 4 a little bit more for my daily trainers. This thing, it sucks, but I don't think I'm going to be able to use it anymore. Is this thing worth the price tag of $130 US or 180 Canadian dollars? Yeah, that exchange rate just always punches me right in the face. I honestly do think that this is worth that price point. The reason being is the versatility. Like I said, you could use it for your easy runs all the way up to your speed play or fartlek runs and all that stuff, whatever you want to call them. And I do think that this could even be used for a race, honestly. I do feel that most runners don't need these fancy carbon plated shoes or light shoes or anything like that. This could be a great race option for a normal everyday runner. I don't see why you couldn't use this shoe for your run. All right, folks, thank you all so much for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, if you got some value from it, please hit that like button. It seriously helps the channel out so much. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be talking more about running shoes and running in general and how you can use and how you can incorporate running into your daily life to improve your life and run faster and whatever you want to do with it. All right, folks, thank you so much for making it to the end. I will see you on the next one.